January 24th, Josh and I are booking a show for Frail. It's going to be Frail. Olivia gets a climb for $10 at the Back to the Grind basement in Riverside. The 23rd and 25th, Frail will be playing out in LA at Oblivion Highland Park. The 23rd with Olivia and some Raiders, and the 25th with Youth Climb and other bands plus some Raiders. There's a repress at the Much Less City Lights website for the Youth Climb tapes if you want one. And the Crutches Society demo tapes are also now available for purchase. Thank you to Carl for allowing me to use your computer and use your room to record this interview. And thank you to Aaron for allowing me to interview him. There was some shirt I wanted for local fans. And I'm so glad this interview came out. More shit coming soon. Thank you for listening. Peace.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate you for taking the time to do the interview. I was really looking forward to doing this interview. Yeah, I'm gonna start soon. I'm gonna introduce you and I'm just to give you a heads up. I'm just gonna talk. I'm gonna use all the music stuff you've been doing,
cool,
to adjust it with the timeline of your life, and we'll just talk about your life essentially.
That sounds cool.
I can do that. Sick. Let's do it. Yo, what's up? No Industry, the greatest fucking podcast online fanzine ever, because we speak the truth and nothing but the truth. Today I got a very special guest, someone I've been looking forward to since I even had the idea to even the thought of approaching to reach out. I don't know, I'm trying to put the right words to put it, but honestly there's very few frontmen that that I just fear, and not fear in the sense that he could fuck me up, but he's just who is that guy? There's two that come to mind. One is John Brennan from Negative Approach, and two is my guest today, Aaron from the Repos, the Ropes, that's Oath, Charles Bronson, Evil Noise Records. Am I correct?
Yep. Yeah, I did Evil Noise for a little while in the 90s.
Sick. Yeah. How you doing, man?
Good. It's good to see you, man. What's going on?
I want to give a proper shout out to Carl for letting me use his room and his computer. I took the train from my house to here to Chinatown to interview you. But yeah.
By train.
Huh?
How long did it take you to get there by train?
Like 45 minutes.
Damn. Okay. You put in some work then.
Yeah, but I'm always on the train, so that's kind of like my vibe, I guess. People just know me from like I'm always on the train. But yeah, where are you from, Aaron?
I grew up in a really small town in Illinois called Waterman, but I was born in Long Beach, California. I moved to Waterman when I was like, I think I just turned 8. My dad moved us out there. It was like the end of the 70s, and he was like, work was slowing down for him. He was a carpenter, and I think that the goal was just to move to a place and find work and move to the Midwest, and I've just been in the Midwest since. I live in Grand Rapids, Michigan now. I've been here since 2011.
Okay. And I just want, like, the reason I want to emphasize on like talk to me about your childhood is just because when I saw the Repos live when you guys played in LA and my older band, Our Uniform, opened, I just saw like, kind of like that, like I guess to put it in lack of better words, like I saw just like a strong man on stage, just kind of like, this normal looking dude who just like, you could see like in your face, like all the like, just, I don't know, like, I don't want to be like disrespectful, but you just saw a lot of like, like strength and like character. And and I know there's a story behind that. So that's why I'm interested to know about how was your childhood up before getting to punk? Like, what was the city like where you were raised? What was your like childhood home like and all that stuff?
So I grew up like out in the country in a really small town of, I think, like 900 people.
Wow.
And like by the time I was like a teenager, I got into, well, a little before that, even a preteen, I started getting into punk just because I was interested in listening to music that was, I don't know, like seemed forbidden or something, like that seemed like, well, maybe not forbidden, but maybe the word is just like different than what I could hear on the radio. Mm-hmm. I was just interested in listening to shit like that. I think I listened to the first thing that I remember listening to at that age was the Black Flag live album, Who's Got the 10 and a Half. Like some girl I knew had like a dubbed copy of it, and she was like, have you ever heard this? And I listened to it, and I was like, then I wanted to keep looking for more and more of that stuff. But it was a pretty, the school that I went to was pretty easy. Like I was in a graduating class of 22 people, so it was really small school. I got along with pretty much everybody once I got to a certain age. There were older kids that were like tough on me when I was like 8th and 9th grade. And that was like a good reason to be like an angry young punk, is because like older kids were mean to me or something. You know what I mean? But like it was good once I got to a certain age. Like I just got along with all different groups of people, so it was easy. I have pretty fond memories of my childhood. I think that now that I'm getting older, I've like wiped away a lot of the things that probably bothered me when I was younger that made me like angry. I think of it fondly now, and I know that there's things that happened probably that weren't great, but like whatever, I got through it. Maybe that's the resolve that you're talking about me being a strong man. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, going back to the strong man thing, I feel like I see like you and John Brennan are like two that always come to my mind where it's like just like a dude with like black boots or like black shoes on his shirt and like, kind of just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's great praise for me to be even thought of in the same list as somebody like John Brennan. I think he's an awesome frontman. He seems like just like a down to earth dude. I saw him just this summer at his band Easy Action was playing this like outdoor concert at this place that's not too far away from my house. It's called Meyer Gardens. It's like they do outdoor concerts, and it was Dinosaur Jr. and Easy Action.
So
and
sick.
A friend of mine had like a ticket, and he just asked me to go with him. And it was really cool to see John Brannon. Like if you can imagine, this place is like a lot of people that are so Meyer Gardens is like a sculpture park, and it's like there's a huge like grocery store around here that's called Meyer. So it's like the way that park started was these people who, you know, are like billionaires, like started collecting all of these sculptures and didn't know where to put them. So they just bought this piece of land, and then they made it so it's accessible to the public. So a lot of like, you know, like, people who would also like have memberships to the zoo or to art museums all have memberships to Meyer Gardens. So they'll just go to like every concert, right? So it's like a group of probably people like in their 60s that are just like, they'll check out anything. So I was seeing John Brannon like scream into a microphone to people that are just like sitting in like chairs with like button down Hawaiian shirts, you know, like sipping drinks. And it was really cool and surreal to see that environment.
That sounds so sick. Especially like not singing Negative Approach songs, because I'm pretty sure like it's a whole different set, right? It's Easy Action stuff.
He always is. He sings the same way always. So if you've ever listened to Laughing Hyenas or Easy Action or anything that he does, he has one mode of singing, and it's just in your face screaming.
Yeah.
So whatever he does, like I think Easy Action is cool. They're just like, you know, garage rock with John Brannon screaming.
Yeah. Sounds so sick. That's sick. I do want to talk about the first band you did. I believe the first band that you ever were in was called the Michiganas?
Yeah, Michiganas. Yeah. So that was the band that was based out of DeKalb. Like, so once I graduated from high school and I moved like out of Waterman to the bigger small town, which was like, I think DeKalb is like, I don't know, maybe 30,000 people. So it's like, you know, a lot bigger than, there's like record stores there and stuff to do. It's totally changed since I was a kid. But I met people in DeKalb who were either still living in DeKalb or were like going to school in DeKalb because there was a university there. And I met Joe and Craig, who were also in the Repos later on, but they were it was an established band already, and it was like, I don't know, I guess you could call it like a pop punk band, but I don't think I would think of it as the same way as what a new pop punk band is like. So, but I wouldn't just say it's like a punk band either. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's very more accessible, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. For sure. And that was fun to do that. Just to start playing shows live. Like, it was fun to do it. I was like always interested. And I think I did have a couple of projects that didn't go anywhere before that with just some other local kids. But that was, the first like band that played shows that I was in. And that was cool. I don't remember how long I was in that band. There was another bass player before me. And then there were bass players after me. Like, the band went from like, I want to say 93 to around 2002 or something. And there was like, it was always Joe and Craig. And then there were different drummers and different bass players throughout. I was in that band the first time. I want to say it was maybe 93 to part of 94, but I don't totally remember. And then I was in that band again around 99 or 2000, something like that, for a little while.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah. All right. But talk to me about like leaving your small town to the bigger town. Like what were you working at? Did you just learn how to play instruments? Like, some of the first bands you started was in the first small town. Like, was there even kids out there? Like, what was like your life like then?
Oh, so moving to DeKalb was like, I think so. After high school, I went to community college for like a semester. Mm-hmm. and I was still living at my parents' house. I was going to Kishwaukee Community College. Shout out to Kish. And then, I stopped. I was like working at McDonald's while I was going to school, and then I decided that I wasn't going to go to school anymore. And my dad, works in the trade. Well, he's retired now, but he was working in the trades, and he said, "Hey, I know a painter who's looking for workers." So I started working as a house painter in '93. Or no, I think it was 92. Fuck, I don't remember, man. But anyway, so I moved up to DeKalb just because I felt like it was time to do it. Like I was going to just start working. I wasn't going to school anymore. I was ready to move out of my parents' house. And I moved in with this dude that I just knew from high school, who was like a guy that I knew from like sports. He was like a basketball player and a soccer player, and I played basketball in high school. So I moved in with him for a summer, and that's like when I started. There was like a thing when I was that age was like going out and getting coffee at like diners, and like that's how you would meet other kids who were into punk. Like you would just go to places, or there was like the Junction was this there was a bookstore called the Junction Bookstore or Book Room, and then the Junction Diner, and it was like sort of in this like U-shaped strip mall. And pull in there, and there'd just be like skaters and punks hanging out, and that's just how you met people. And so I started hanging around with people, and I think that like with Meshuggahs, I think that I was just going to see them play in basements or whatever, and at some point they asked me if I wanted to play bass for them, and I was like, yeah, let's do that. That sounds cool.
Sick. Wow, sounds like just picturing you, like you guys at the coffee shop or like a bunch of kids at a diner is like just, I mean, this still happens today, just that there's like actual coffee shops now, like where people get specialty coffee, but still it's awesome to think like that's like the same thing even then and now.
Yeah, and it was weird because like they didn't chase us out of those places. We would just go in there and like order a cup of coffee for like $1 and just sit there and get free refills and like smoke cigarettes and drink coffee like for a couple hours, and it was fine. There was like back when there were smoking sections in restaurants, so we would just sit in there and smoke and talk shit and drink coffee, you know.
Sick. I mean, also like to point out, like I know I only worked as a paint job once, so can't imagine working at a paint job that young is sounds fucking tiring.
Well, when I started doing it too, I started working in new construction. So I was driving from DeKalb out to this suburb called Naperville, and it was like, you know, there was never ending work because it was like my boss at that time just had a whole bunch of different accounts for different builders. So, you know, I drive to work, and it was like, if you just got 8 hours in a day, you could be finished. So I would get there at like 6 a.m. and work till like 2:30, so I could just drive home as fast as I could and just like go skating for the rest of the day or whatever I could do before I had to. You know, at that age, I didn't think about like, well, I better go to sleep early because I have to get up and paint tomorrow. So I would like skate and then like take acid and do shit and then go to work with like 3 hours of sleep.
Fuck, I don't even think I could do that. Like straight up. Fuck, that sounds so fucking crazy. So you meet the what would become the Repo guys in the Meshuggahs. At one point, do you join Charles Bronson, or like how does, you know, going to the Fireside Bowl? How does that come about?
Okay, so I'll answer the Charles Bronson one first, and then the Fireside Bowl one.
Cool.
So I was so I moved from DeKalb to this like south suburb of Chicago called Matson. It was near this record store where the drummer of the Meshuggahs worked, and there was a venue attached to that record store. The venue is called Off the Alley. And so I was living there while I was in Meshuggahs during that time. And then I was driving back to DeKalb to like I don't know, hang out with people or I don't remember what I was doing, but I met Mark McCoy, who was going to school at NIU at that time. And I feel like one Saturday that I went there, I just drove out and I was interested in just hanging out, skating, playing music, whatever was going to happen. And so we started some project that was called Neil Blender Alliance. It was just a group. I think there were 6 of us in this band, and we just wrote songs and recorded on a boombox. We did that maybe a couple of times, and then I decided that I was going to move back to DeKalb, and Mark asked me at that point if I was interested in playing guitar in Charles Bronson, and I was like, yeah, that's all I wanted to do. That's working didn't mean anything to me. I wasn't looking for a career. I still do the same kind of work. I'm still a house painter. I was just playing music and skating, whatever I could do. So I made it work. And I was in the band, and I think it was a year that I was in Charles Bronson, and it seemed like it was a really long time because just a lot of stuff happened. We practiced all the time. It felt like when I was in that band, we were just living the life of being in that band the whole time. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. So, and then a lot of this takes place in the Fireside Bowl. I mean, I don't know too much about that place. I just you see videos, but what was talk to me about that venue, about the scene. And
okay. The Fireside Bowl was this, it was a bowling alley in Chicago, that this guy, Brian Peterson, started booking punk shows and at some point he first started booking shows in in Elgin, which was a small town north of DeKalb. He was doing shows there for a bit. It seemed like he was kind of moving around trying to find spaces, good venues for putting on shows. But once he got Fireside going, he had shows going 7 days a week. So you could go to a show 7 days a week. And it was in Chicago. So, living in DeKalb, you had to drive to Chicago, which was an hour drive or whatever. That means nothing to you because you live in LA. So an hour somewhere is that's going around.
That's literally every day.
Yeah. I mean, it seemed like it was a haul, but it was going to Chicago from DeKalb. But, Fireside was great because it was an all-ages venue. There was also a bar there that was separated from everything else. So, I mean, the bar was always full. The sound was good there. It was a fun place. It was while it was happening, it felt like, I just took advantage of it, right? Because it was just happening all the time. But thinking back on it, it was so cool that there was a space where shows happened every single day of the week. And at this time, in the 90s, you would go and see, I want to go see this band, but you would see bands that had no similar sound to that band you wanted to see, but you would learn about new music every time you went to a show. Because it was everything wasn't all grouped into we're going to see a mosh hardcore band tonight, and so all the rest of the bands are mosh hardcore bands, or I'm going to see a sludge band, so all the bands are sludge bands. It was you could see a pop punk band play with a weird emo band or something. So it was cool. It was totally fun. There were always $5 shows, so it was cheap enough to get in there. The bar was dollar beers, so it was great. It was a really cool venue.
Straight up, when I it's cool to think or romanticize a lot of these places that to you is probably I just went to a bowling alley and saw shows, but it's so cool to think this place, this happened, and along with straight up I'm raised with phones and having maps and like knowing what a band sounds like. All right, what do they sound like, and like check them out. But one thing that connects to what I'm talking is there's a Splash Charles Bronson split that you're on. So I'm just curious to know, like, and we have the internet, so I can imagine a lot of shit without the internet. Like, or how did you even connect from like a band from California to like you guys? Like, how did that come about? Like not just this band, but like in general. Like how?
Yeah, so it's a lot of it was like people just writing letters back and forth. So that specific split was that Mark was friends with Dan from Spaz. Like they would send each other, tapes and write letters to each other. And so, you'd probably have to ask him that story, but from what to get the details right. But from what I got from it is that, Mark probably sent him like the Charles Bronson demo or something, and probably sent him like a shirt that he screened. And Dan was like, "Oh, this is cool if you guys want to do a split sometime." And then it just came about by the time I was in the band. That's what I'm guessing. And I actually put out that record on Evil Noise with Max from Spaz, and I think that John Aarons is on that too. Disgruntled, maybe? Is that on the back of there?
Yeah, Disgruntled, Evil Noise 625. Yeah, first press, 1995 hardcore.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, so we all just chipped in money, and I remember, I think that I made the covers at what was a Kinko's back then, and just like, I think we all just gave money to Max, and he had it pressed, and then, who knows, I don't remember how it worked, but I remember that I had a whole bunch of records and covers, and folding them up and putting them in sleeves and doing all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there is a picture of you when I don't know if you know what picture I'm talking about. It's like you in your bedroom. There's like a bunch of posters. I know the one that sounds out the most is a DSI poster, and you're like folding a bunch of records. And then there's another separate picture of that same day where you're talking to Mark and you guys are just laughing about like something. Do you remember that picture?
Yeah. So probably Mike, who was the other guitar player in Charles Bronson when I was in the band, took that picture because he was probably like taking a photography class or something in college. So he probably had like access to a nice camera. But yeah, that house was the college house. It was on College Street in DeKalb, and Mike and Mark from Charles Bronson and I lived there with like a group of other people that really had nothing to do with what we were doing, but we would practice in that house. My room was down in the basement, and the basement was pretty big. Like there was a big laundry room, and then there was a big bedroom, and then there was just a big open room. So we had shows in that house, and we practiced in that house.
Sick.
Yeah, and we didn't do shows all the time, but we probably threw maybe, 12 to 15 shows there while we lived in that house. And we only got down one time. So we lived in, it was pretty much, we were on College Street, or College Avenue, but it was like a student ghetto. So it was just like all students living in these old houses where there's like 5 or 6 people living in a house. And so nobody called the cops on us until, do you know that band Cavity, that was from Florida?
I've heard the name.
Okay, so they were touring and they played our house, and they were so loud that the cops came. That was the only time it ever happened, though.
Did they shut down the place?
It got shut down, yeah. But there wasn't any, there weren't any billy clubs out. No one got, assaulted by the cops or anything. We just, it got shut down, and that was the end.
And so just like from where you're telling me the picture of, you during this time, you're skating, you're doing acid, you're working as a painter, you're playing in bands. Talk to me about what made you talk about Evil Noise Records, what made you want to do it? What was it like putting out records back then? You talk about the Kinko's, and I'm pretty sure it's kind of the same. It was cheaper back then. I want you to talk to me about that.
Okay, so I wanted to, I like the idea of being a part of, I guess, putting out records. I thought it seemed cool when people did it, and it seemed something that anybody could do that just had a little bit of money. Pressing records at United back then was super cheap. If you came up with $1,200, you could press 1,000 records or something. That'd be crazy, but it was super cheap. And the reason that, people were even putting records out on 7-inches is because it was cheap to do. Like, it's super expensive to do now, but it was like, it would be like putting out a CDR of something now. I don't even know if people listen to CDRs, but it was like the cheapest way to release something then. So, I mean, because if you look at old, like, MRRs or something, you see crazy shit like, you know, a record is like $2 or it's like $4 postage paid or something. So everything was super cheap to make and to mail.
And it was all you assembling everything, or like even
yeah, totally.
Wow, and like how about like the art? Like was that you, or was that a collaborative effort, or like, because I know you put out the first, I think you put out the first Angels of Satan release, right?
Yeah, so that one for me. So the Charles Bronson Spaz split, I did the art for that. Like the cover art I did for that. I think Mark designed the Charles Bronson insert and Spaz designed their own stuff. But I did like the record labels and the cover. And of course I probably asked Mark's opinion if it looked okay. And he was like, yeah, it looks good. The Agents of Satan 7-inch. So once Max and I released that Spaz Charles Bronson split together, he was like, hey, do you want to like release more records with me? And I was like, yeah, totally. And I did Agents of Satan. All I pretty much did was just send him money, and I got a bunch of copies of records. So I was just like helping in that way. But like I met those guys, the Agents of Satan guys, when Charles Bronson played Fiesta Grande in 96.
Okay.
And I thought those guys were the best. Like Frank and those guys were there. They were like super funny, and they made fun of everybody, and they were just like playing brutal music. So it was like, of course I'll throw in money for that. I think those guys are great. I think I might have got their demo before I met them in person, and I thought it was just like the wildest shit I'd ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, I fucking can bet. I'm still listening to this. It's still sometimes hard to digest even now. So I can't imagine you fucking Dan.
Yeah, it was like weird. It was like something I'd never heard before, because there was no guitar. It was just like I don't know. It was like at a time where you didn't see like black metal everywhere, so it was like they were incorporating like the look of black metal a little bit into like their style of hardcore, and I thought that was really cool and unique and interesting.
Sick. And how long did the label last? Up to was this like your 20s? Like music?
Yeah, I was like 22 to 23, and then I was done doing it. I think I did the Charles Bronson Spaz split, Agents of Satan for 7-inch, and then there was a local band called the Kylers. It was just spelled the Killers.
Oh, okay. I was like...
It's like a Beavis and Butthead reference or something.
Okay.
I put out their 7-inch, and, you know, I think what burned me out was that I thought that putting out records were easy because everyone wanted to buy everything that I was putting out. But it was because I was putting out Charles Bronson Spaz and Agents of Satan. So when I put out just like the local band, the local hardcore band, I was like sending records to Timogen, who is doing Vacuum, and I was like, how come he's not sending me money yet? Oh, because the people aren't buying this record.
Okay. So there's only 3 releases, and that's funny.
3 releases and I was out. Yeah, that was it. I think that I just... I'm guessing that at the time I was a little disappointed that I didn't like make my money back right away. It's not like I was trying to make money. I was just trying to get my money back that I put into it.
Yeah. But it's funny, like, you're 23-year-old looking, you're like 23 and you're like, man, like, fuck this, you know? Like, it's kind of funny, you know?
Yeah, kind of. I don't know if it was even like that distinct. I think it was just like, it just fizzled.
Yeah. And I know...
It would be better if I would have taken like all the remaining records that I had that I put up, just smashed them and said, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I just got lazy and didn't do it anymore, pretty much.
Okay, fair enough. I know a lot of the members of the Kylers are like members of the Repos, or that were like within the Repos and Charles Bronson. Are you guys Are you guys like? I know you were saying you're living with Mark and the other homie, but are you guys are you guys like a squad? Like you guys are kicking it all the time? Like or like what was like? Paint me the picture of like those days of like are you guys skating? What are you guys doing? Like are you guys like straight edge? Or is everybody straight edge? What does your activities look like?
Yeah, so a lot of it revolved around skating, and just being into like hardcore and metal and shit. So we would just all hang out. Some guys were straight edge and some weren't, and we all just hung out, and it was cool. Like I want to say like, okay, so Kyler's was Mike, who I played in Charles Bronson with. He was playing drums in this band. Mm-hmm. And it was like the first guitar player of Charles Bronson, James, was in Kyler's. And John from Charles Bronson was in Kyler's. And then the other two guys, Steve and Adam, who were in Kyler's, were I think guys that were going to school at NIU. Oh. And so like they, we were all just hanging out, doing whatever, skating and just hanging out, watching stupid movies or just whatever, doing stuff. And so we just like, if those guys were interested in what was going on in like the DeKalb crew scene, we just all started hanging out. Like, so we were just doing stuff. And later on, Adam got into the Repos because we started out as a three-piece. It was just me and Joe and Craig, and we were writing songs. I was playing bass, and Craig was playing drums, and Joe was playing guitar, and we didn't have a vocalist yet. We weren't sure what we were going to do, but once we wrote this, our plan was to have Craig be the singer, and we were going to find a drummer. But once we started going and writing songs, I was like, I think I'm going to try to do vocals on this stuff. And I did it, and then I was like, all right, I'm the singer now. So I'm just going to find somebody who's interested in playing bass in this band. And I think I must have just like wrote Adam an email or something. I don't know what I would have done at that time. 2003, I don't know. I wasn't texting him, I don't think. I think I wrote him an email and just said, hey, do you want to meet for a drink? And so we went to this bar in Chicago, and I just had a demo for him. I don't even think we had proper demos yet. I think it was just a tape of what we had done, and I like made a cover for it. And I was like, hey, I want you to play bass in this band. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. And so we just started practicing with him. He was just up for it.
And you never sang in any other bands. Were you shocked, like, how your vocals sounded when you first, like, is that you screaming or is that, like, you trying to, like, do a style?
So the first, the demo, I don't know if you can find it online, but the vocals are kind of, like, a little more, like, high-pitched and different sounding than what they ended up sounding like. And it's just because we recorded the demo on a 4-track, and then I took that stuff home to my apartment that I was living in, and I was afraid of screaming too loud in my apartment, so I kind of like shrieked. And then once that didn't really feel like doing vocals. And then once we started recording for the first album, we were like it wasn't even a proper studio, but we were in this recording space that our friends were doing for us. And I was like, yeah, just tried something a little bit different. And I was sort of channeling like Ray Capo from Youth of Today and Joe D'Annunzio from Infest, like with my own voice, like not trying to copy those, but just like thinking of those are and still are two of my favorite hardcore bands of all time. So I was like, if I can sound something like that, that would work for me.
So sick. I mean, that makes total sense. That makes 100% sense. That's so sick. That's so fucking sick. Not like just like actually hearing you say that, which is so sick.
I appreciate it, man.
Sick. And then talk to me like, so one thing I want to like is just a very vague observation. there was like the around that time, like early 2000s when the Repos started. It's like the start of like early American hardcore revival, like the sound.
Yeah, totally.
And I want to say you guys were like on the forefront of like, you know, like that like fast like 80s hardcore sound, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
Was that common for people to be listening to like older hardcore like during that time, like to find those records? Like the FUs or like, you know, Necros or like Deep Wound or not saying you guys sound like those bands, but those type of bands?
I don't know if it was common for people to listen to it, but I can say that that's what I liked listening to and what I still like listening to. Mm-hmm. And so when we started writing songs for the Repos, like I felt like I was pretty out of touch with what was going on. Like I didn't know what the trends were in hardcore, but it was just like this is the style of music that I want to play. Mm-hmm. And it's like based in hardcore punk. Like, I think that, you know, I can't even say that we were like listening to music and thinking that we would write stuff like it. I think that we all sort of collectively had this, we just kind of bonded on old hardcore punk and just knew what we wanted to do. I don't think we even really had to talk about it. I don't think we were saying, let's write a song that's like this. I think we just started writing music based on our own listening, like what we were listening to, and turned it into our own style or whatever.
I'm very curious that like even now, like with the internet, like a lot of people don't come across like old US hardcore, like don't listen to. So I was just like, how would you like just straight up going to the record store? That's how you would find out about a lot of these records? Or like, how would you even come across that? Like, you know, like, and I don't know if they were like even in press or you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that it was just like, you know, you would meet somebody who had records and you would talk about, they would know something like, you know, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I knew that Poison Idea was probably a cool band because they had a cool name, right? Mm. And I bought the cassette of Pick Your King at a record store, and it's like the perfect record, right? I listened to that over and over and over again, and I was like, well, I want to find stuff that's like that. I want stuff that's just like fast, but not blast beat fast, just like fast punk that's angry. And so, you know, I would just talk to other people and say well, like, what are you listening to? And somebody would say like, oh, have you ever heard Jerry's Kids? And I'd be like, no, but I want to hear it. And then like, you know, like somebody reissued that Boston Not LA comp. Are you familiar with that record?
Yeah, I am.
Like, I feel like it was a store, Wicked Disc or something, released it on CD. And then, you know, I got it for the Jerry's Kids songs, but, you know, then there's, like, the FUs are on that. The Freeze, I think, was on that. Mm-hmm. Like, there's just a bunch of good stuff, so that you just, like, keep finding more stuff and just keep digging for more stuff. A lot of times, you know, I would just flip through. I would spend a lot of time in record stores and just flip through and look at something that looks like it would maybe belong to that era. Or if it said something about Reagan, it was probably from that era. So yeah, it was just all about that, I guess, talking to people about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. Just digging through records and talking to people about music.
Sick. I like how the answer is pretty obvious, but like, it's, you know, it's still kind of crazy to imagine a world where like I don't have a fucking like, you know, I can't search up what this band sounds like or who's on this Discogs or whatever. You know,
yeah.
It sounds really intriguing.
I think that I went through a lot of buying things that looked cool to me and they sucked to me at the time. Like, so that's what I would do when I was like, you know, in high school, is there was a record store in DeKalb that was called Record Revolution. And I would just go through cassette tapes and look at like, okay, this sounds like a cool name for a band. And like, I got Corrosion of Conformity, Eye for an Eye by doing that. Great. That's a great record. And then I bought like this record, or I bought a tape by this band called Lime Spiders, and it was the worst. And I tried to like it because I bought this tape, and it was like $7 for a new tape. I'm like, I wasn't going to be able to buy another tape for another week, so I tried to listen to it over and over again, and I was like, it's no good. But it was a lot of trial and error with that stuff for sure. But a really cool thing about that record store was, so it was, this old guy who worked in there who didn't own the store, but he just like worked there. And then there was mostly college students that worked in there. And there was like a small section in the record store that was like, punk or punk adjacent type things that were in there. And like this dude, Dan, who worked there, would just write descriptions of what it was. So, you got to not only look at the cover and see if you liked it, but you got to read something that he wrote. And if you trusted his opinion on, music, then it was like, cool, it's worth getting. And the reason that I liked that guy was when I was in high school, I had this bootleg Minor Threat shirt that was like, I don't know if you've ever seen them around, but it's just them sitting on the steps and it says Minor Threat.
Yeah.
But it was a white shirt and it was a pink screen on it. So he used to make fun of me when I would come in because I was wearing a pink Minor Threat shirt.
Was he an older guy?
I mean, I was probably like 16 and he was probably like 21 or something.
Oh, okay.
So he's way older than me.
Where's Dan now?
Yeah, but he wasn't that old at all.
Where's Dan now?
I don't know. I never saw him after that age. Like, I don't know what happened to him.
Sick. It'd be cool to be like, yo, like, I did a lot of shit, like, because of your fucking descriptions on the records.
Totally. Yeah, it'd be nice to tell him that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was stuff like that too. Like, I had friends in high school who, my really good friend Sean had was like the youngest of, like, I feel like he had like 8 brothers and sisters or something. And one summer I was working at the high school. I was like doing like janitor work. So I was like stripping like and waxing floors like for an entire summer. And I would ride my bike from my parents' house to the school. It was like a 5-mile ride. And then on my way home after work, I would stop at his house and like dig through his sister's records. And like, she'd have like Circle Jerks records. She had, stuff that I loved that wasn't even like punk stuff. Like, The Cult Electric was a great record that I found there. Just like a lot of cool shit. I would just like flip through records. So I learned about records that way, like through friends who had older siblings.
So sick. It's so sick to fucking just hear like, man, this all was just like, you have to like get your hands on it. Like, like you can't just like, here's a fucking link. Which I know it sounds very obvious, but it's very crazy to think now,
I mean, it is cool. I don't know that I would, say I wish that it was still that way. There was an excitement about it, about finding something on your own that you were like, oh, this is really cool, and I found it without listening to it, and it's good. But it's like, that was just luck, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I got lucky doing that. So it is cool that you can, like, stream something online and see if you like it. And if you like it, then buy the record, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't afford to buy a record I don't like now. Especially how much records aren't, like, I can't just buy $25 and be like, fuck, I don't like this.
No, records are so expensive right now. So it's like, it's an investment now.
It is definitely an investment. And around the time Repos started, early 2000s, you joined Oath. Is that around the same time?
Yeah, right around the same time. So I think that we recorded the demo, and we were playing a couple of shows, and then maybe working on the... So, okay, this is what it was. We were recording for what we thought was going to be like 2 7-inches. That's what the LP was. And I think that we're going to release a 7-inch with Youth Attack, and maybe the other 7-inch was with Nate Wilson's label, Gloom. But when I played the songs for Mark or sent him a copy of it, he was like, well, these all work together. This should be an LP. And I was like, okay, cool. I mean, it's not an LP. It's only like 11 minutes long, but a full length, like a 12-inch, right?
Yeah.
And so he was, working on that coming out. And then at the same time, he'd been doing Das Oath since, I want to say, 99 or 2000 or something. And Nate Wilson was like maybe fatigued from touring or playing shows a lot, or he had something else going on in his life. So he was not going to do it for a while. And Mark asked me to play bass in Das Oath. And I was happy to do it. I wasn't all that young. 2003, I just turned 30. I started the Repos when I was 30 years old. And I was in Das Oath starting then. So the thing is to go, there was like maybe a 4-week European tour planned. And so I was listening to like the Oath songs from maybe a CD or something, and I couldn't figure out how to play them on my own, but I listened to them a lot. And so I flew into Amsterdam and met the other two guys from Das Oath, Jeroen and Marcel, for the first time in person. I don't think I ever even talked to them. I was just in the band because Mark asked me to. And so I meet those guys, and we just start rehearsing right away. They're just showing me the songs. And then Mark came like maybe 2 days later or something. So I had like 2 days to learn all the songs. And then, we went out on that first tour. And I feel like the first tour, we played some shows just on our own. And then the band Some Girls that Wes and Justin and all those guys. Yeah. So we toured with them for the rest of that tour.
And go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so there was that summer, and then there was a lot going on. I think I did 2 summer European tours with them, and then there was a time where Marcel and Jeroen came over from Holland, and we all stayed at Mark's place in Brooklyn for maybe another 4 weeks or something, and we were just writing songs during the day. We were like practicing for 8 hours a day, and then we were like playing shows on the weekends on the East Coast because everything's so easy to get to on the East Coast. So we did that, and then I think we did a 2005 West Coast tour where we like flew into LA and then went, up to Portland or Seattle. Yeah, Seattle was probably or Olympia maybe was the highest up spot we went, and then came back down. So that was, I did that from, I think, 2003 to 2005.
Sick. It was like, I know you guys were on one of the songs, Awesome Right made it to Tony Hawk, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, that was before I was at the bank, so that was from their first album.
Okay.
That probably got worked out through, the albums were put out on Steve Aoki's label.
Oh, I didn't know that, actually. What the fuck?
Yeah, so I don't know, I don't want to go out on a limb here, but I'm going to say he's like somebody who is way different than he probably was at that time. He's like a rich DJ now, but he had some interest in hardcore at the time, and so we were on his label, and I'm sure he just had connections, and that's why that song ended up getting on. That's what I'm guessing. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's why it got on Tony Hawk.
Yeah, there's a label called Extinction Burst from California. They're from Victorville, and one of the members was in a band with Steve Aoki. Like, no. Yeah, it was like, I don't think it was like fully hardcore punk, but it was like in that. I don't remember how it sounded, but it was like in that. Cool. Which is kind of funny.
He has a history in it, so he liked it.
Yeah, it was funny. But I'm curious to know, like, since like you guys are like practicing and like getting together to do all these tours, is there was that like would you say Das Soul was a serious band? Because there's a picture of you guys headlining the Glass House. I don't know, was that different for you? Like playing like bigger places?
Is the Glass House a big space? Is that in Long Beach?
That's in Pomona. But
Pomona.
yeah, but like just like more serious venues, I guess. Is that like was that the first time you were playing like more serious venues?
Yeah, I'd say so. Instead of just like playing basements or like W halls, yeah, for sure it was.
Was that intimidating for you? Like, you know, like you're 30 and like you're like getting to play all these shows. Like, what was that time in your life like? Like, were you having a serious job? Like, was the job letting you go to the Netherlands? You know, on a whim.
Yeah. So by that time, I started. So like I said, I started working as a house painter when I was 19. And by the time I was 27, I just stopped working for other people and just started working for myself. So I started, I could just take off time. And that's the reason I wanted to start working for myself. So I could like make my own hours. So yeah, I could take off time to do those things. I mean, it was stressful because like if I wasn't working, I wasn't making money. It's not like I could take like a paid vacation from a job.
Yeah.
Right? But I had the freedom to do stuff that I wanted to do. And I don't know. I mean, as I'm getting older, I think, well, like, what would my experiences have been like if I just decided to have a career doing something and I didn't do all of those things? It would be far less interesting, but I'd probably be way more comfortable now. But I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Put out great records. So the Repos continue, Das South you leave, and what happens, like, I guess, because, can you correct me, what year was it, like, when the Repos kind of stopped and it turned into the Ropes?
So, I moved to Cincinnati from the Chicago area in 2005. I was in Cincinnati from 2005 to 2010. And we were kind of still doing Repos stuff, kind of a lot, even when I was living in Cincinnati. But it was a lot. Like it was stressing me out for sure. And I had other problems going on at the time. I had like a pretty serious drug problem at the time. And I was married, and my wife was my ex-wife now, but my wife at the time was pregnant, so we were having a baby, and it was too much to do. I was like, I can't do the Repos anymore. Like, I have to figure shit out because things aren't going great right now. And so we stopped. I think we played what was the last show in 2008. We played 2 shows. We played one in Chicago at this place called People Projects, but the flyers all say People's Project. It was like some art space that was in a basement. And then we played the next night at a college in Madison, Wisconsin or something. And I think that you can find the Madison show on YouTube. I think there's like a 3-part thing. It's like, I think it says Repos last show or something. So yeah, at that point, that was the end, and we stopped doing it. And then I moved back to the Illinois area in like the end of summer of 2010. And when I got back there, I was like, I want to play music again. Oh, so when I was in Cincinnati, I was also going to school full-time. I was going to college full-time. I was working full-time. So, and all these other things were happening in my life. So that was too much. So I finished school in Cincinnati, moved back to Illinois, and I'm just working now. So I'm like, I want to do other shit. So I, got in touch with the Repos guys and said, hey, I have an idea. Let's start doing shit again, but let's have it be that the Repos are done, and now we're just going to call ourselves the Ropes. And everyone thought that was a funny idea. Let's do it. So we started writing songs, and I think we played our first show where all we did was just play new songs. We didn't play any Repos songs. And then as we were doing the ropes more, we started incorporating Repos songs into the set. So we were playing like half rope songs, half Repos songs. And they're all pretty similar anyway.
Yeah.
But people just knew the Repos songs. And then I guess there was some band, like some indie rock band that were like, you know, clout chasing people that were trying to blow up that didn't like that we were using
the
ropes, and they started sending emails, and they were sending emails to Joe, and Joe would write back to them like he was an attorney and like just to mess with them. And then at some point, you know, this happened for maybe like 6 months where they were like threatening to sue and doing all this stuff, and Joe would just write back these crazy emails back to them pretending to be an attorney. And then they said that they were going to start coming after the label, and we had done a couple of things with Youth Attack at that point, and we were like, well, we don't want them to fuck with Mark, so whatever, like, what, I don't know what we're going to do. And then we just thought, well, let's just call it the Repos again, who cares? Started doing that.
Oh, okay, that's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. And sidetrack, the candy, the Repos candy, how did that idea come about? Is that, do you know?
Yeah. Well, I had this song called Poison Head, okay. and it was it alluded to just being, you know, a creepy person.
Okay.
And, because I don't think that anything that I ever wrote as lyrics were outright creepy. I mean, there were, you know, things about being a hitchhiker and murdering people and shit like that. But, like, I think that I wrote something that just, like, sparked something in Mark's mind that made him think, like, you know, this is creepy, let's do this. And so he made I think there was a shirt design that was, like, a hand holding a piece of candy and, like, a little kid was taking it. Like, it was a stranger giving a kid candy. So then he had the idea to make candies that said, it was the ropes still at the time, I think, right? I don't know if it was the Repos.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
He pressed into it, whatever it was, Repos or ropes, into the candy.
So
I think I have a package of it somewhere around here. It might be like in a drawer somewhere.
Like, I don't even know how I would buy one. I don't even know how you would get one. Or like, I don't know what's the market for that.
I don't know who would really want it. But I guess it's something to hang on your wall or something, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's going, yeah, that's like going on a fucking, I don't know, somewhere high.
If I find an extra package of the candy, I'll send one to you.
Please, dude. That would be so sick. One thing, just something I noticed that you said around this time, roughly, you're traveling to do Das Oath stuff. You're learning how to play like these crazier songs.
Yeah.
And you have your life, life stuff going on. And on top of that, you're going to school. Like, it sounds like you've always been a driven person, super hardworking. And I'm just curious to know, like, where does like that? Would you say where does that come from? Like, where was that instilled from you? Because you're doing a lot. You're like from finishing a label to being in so many bands to being a painter to like being your own boss to like like it's a very it connects to what we said at the beginning where like I see like the like kind of like strength and like like punches of life, like a hardworking person. So and it turns out I'm right. So I'm curious to know where does that come from.
I'd like to say that it's probably something that's just in me because I still want to like do stuff all the time. But I think when you're a kid growing up and you see people around you doing stuff and like hustling and doing stuff, like my dad was always working hard and then doing stuff on the side. Whether it was like he built a quarter pipe for me and my brother when we were kids, and like didn't know how to build ramps, but just like built something that looked like a quarter pipe.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like my dad was doing stuff, and I think that I got some of that from him. And just seeing that like you can do anything you want to do, right? I mean, is if you take it on, especially like doing things that are, you know, pretty achievable, like having a record label's pretty easy thing to do if you can come up with a little bit of money and like want to put the time into it. But I'm not always that way. Like I can be lazy sometimes too. I'll go through spells of just like being lazy for a while. Usually doesn't last very long because I feel like when I'm busy doing things and I'm busy doing like creative endeavors, I feel like mentally healthy. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's part of it, that I want to keep my mind busy with things. I think it's like a mental health thing, because I'm not getting anything more out of it than the joy of, you know, playing in bands. I don't make any money doing it. I mean, I guess by this point I have some sort of a reputation for doing these things, but like the only motivation is my joy that I get out of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Which is very awesome, you know, because it's like, yeah, you know, that's.
I think I love doing it. I still love doing stuff as much as I can, as much as I can be motivated to do things. I want to do it.
Yeah, because you still did Goodbye World, which I'm curious, like straight up curious, like out of curiosity, like why, like you're obviously you're older, like how did that, like where did the inspiration come from to like you still screaming a mic? I mean, I'm pretty sure Life Always Sucks, you know, but like what was like the idea behind like, and where does the name come from?
Goodbye World was put together by Mark. Okay. I'm pretty sure, like, so there's a couple of the Denver dudes are in that. James, who does Cadaver Dog, who that project is amazing. James is an amazing musician and has like the perfect vision for what I see as great hardcore. Yeah, and Mark and Jeff Jellin was around. He's even a little older than me, but he was like playing in bands that I would see before I was even in any bands. Like he's just been around forever, and he's still, you know, totally flies under the radar, but is just like an amazing musician. Does really cool stuff. He's a super unique guy. So I think that Mark put that band together, and he asked me if I wanted to do vocals, and like, yeah, I want to do vocals. Like, and the recording that we did, I thought was great. It was a really fun project to do, and there's more music ready for that stuff, and I haven't done vocals for it, and I think I kind of fucked that up, and I think that it's some of it has to do with that I don't feel like my voice is as good as it used to be.
Whoa.
I feel like I have like lost a certain edge as being a frontman. And I'm probably just being critical of myself, but I feel like you know, my prime days are done. Like I did, I started Repos till I was like 30, but like when I used to go see punk bands play and I saw a guy who was 30 years old, I was like, this band sucks. I don't want to see this band play. Yeah. But now I'm in my 50s and I'm like, who wants to fucking see an old dude fucking screaming in a microphone? Yeah, some people might, but like, I don't know. I think these are the kinds of thoughts that I have about myself, and that's why it's difficult for me to do vocals much anymore.
I mean, if it helps you make you feel better, like John Bryan's a good example. Like we said earlier, I'm like, there's certain people that like just straight up look more aggressive or meaner with age, and I think you're one of them. So it's like I know where you're coming from. I mean, not specifically, but I get where you're coming from. But I mean, straight up, like, I mean, not that, like, and I hope it helps, genuinely. Like, the Repos started in 2003. I was born in 2003. And that's, like, one of, and, like, so that's, like, I still own, like, I own Repos records. So, like,
that's awesome.
So that has nothing, like, I feel like age, like, doesn't even, like, you know, like, you're, like, I mean, when I saw you guys, I was like, what the fuck was this? You know, like not in a good way. I was like, yo, this guy looks like he could just like if I hit him with my hand will break. You know, so it's like I think you have that to your advantage. Like compared to other frontmen where they just look more fragile or they look more whatever. Like you look more like, you know, scarier, whatever.
All right, well, I'll keep that in mind, and maybe that'll motivate me to continue to do vocals.
Hopefully. I mean, I would fucking love to hear a fucking Goodbye World record. Like,
I'd love to do. I would love to be able to continue to do more stuff. I think, you know, writers have writer's block, and I have like a vocal frontman block right now.
Yeah. I mean, I hope, like, you know, it'll leave soon.
I hope so too. Like, so I think about it this way. Like, okay, so you mentioned John Brandon. He's a lifer, right? And he like screams so much that his voice is just used to doing that all the time, right?
Yeah.
And like, I don't yell at any other time than when I'm playing in a band, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you exercise that all the time, you're going to have a voice that's strong like John Brandon's voice. And I worry that I'm going to, you know, do vocals on a track and it's going to sound like I can't do vocals anymore. And it's probably just me, you know, being too critical on what I'm doing. But I want what I do to be good. I don't want it to be like, hey, that's pretty good for... You know, he's old now, so it's still pretty good. Like it has to be great. I want it to be great when I do
it. Okay, I see it. I mean, well, you sounded great at the LA show, so I want to say you still sound great. You know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I also like, so I will run in the summertime. I like being outside and I like sweating, and so I'll, you know, run for like 3 or 5 miles or something, like 3 days a week. And like, so last winter I really got into eating chocolate. And so I probably gained like 10 pounds from eating chocolate over the winter. And so you know, it got warm out in the spring and I wanted to start running and I couldn't do it. Like I would just like get out of breath after like a mile in. But then, you know, into the summertime, like around August, it's easy to run 3 or 4 miles. So, I mean, that's probably what I would need to do to be confident about doing vocals again, is I would have to exercise it in my voice in that way. So I actually feel good about doing it and not treat it like I just finished eating chocolate for 3 months and now I'm going to try to do vocals, you know?
Yeah. You know, like, I mean, straight up, like, you know, to wrap this part, like, I straight up think you actually do got it compared to other people where it's like, man, you just look like you're done. You know, you look like you're still like, you know, like you're still what's up. You know what's up.
Thanks, but do you know what I mean though? When you see people like that, who you think aren't doing a great job or who look fragile, are you like, do you feel like some way about it, or do you just feel like,
I mean, you could tell when it's not good. It's because the person's kind of out of touch with hardcore and punk. Like, it's, like, I feel like I've never seen a band that's, like, every time it's bad, it's because that person's doing it, like, you can tell they're just, like, I'm gonna get a paycheck. You know? You know, like if someone's, like, about it and they're on stage, it's usually good. You know, like you know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Yeah, like, yeah, most of the bad bands are just, like, you can tell, like, all right, like, you know, this guy just got on stage to, like, you know, like, he's a normal person now. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you can see that. You can sniff that out pretty easily. Like, see, when we played with Inmates at that show in LA, and those guys are all older guys, and they seem all about it, right? You don't look at them and go, nah, they don't care.
You don't even think about, like, how they sound. You just think, like, man, this guy, like, looks like, what the fuck's going on? You know, like,
yeah,
totally. It's, you know, it's so much more than just, like, you know, like, it's so sick. Yep. Yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up here. The last question I want to ask you, Aaron, is, I guess just, you know, I mentioned earlier, but to sum it up everything, it's like you come from a town with 900 people, you mentioned earlier. You come from a small town, 900 people. You come from from a hardworking dad who's gonna build you like stuff out of his own hands to playing, to going to the Netherlands in your 30s, to touring, to playing in bands that literally mean like the world to people. You know, to this day, Charles Bronson is like, I'm on the train, I see kids with Charles Bronson patches. The Repos is like literally top 5 bands of all time for me. You know, I'm in this room with this person interviewing you, Carl, because of like the Repos. Literally, we bonded over at that Repo show. Are you proud of yourself?
Am I proud of myself?
Yeah.
That sounds like something you might say to me if you were like my parent and like I did something wrong.
No, I'm curious to know, like, looking back at your life, like, everything you've done, because, you know, like, you could tell a lot of these, like, compared to other people who say that in hardcore, you could tell these projects were, like, made, like, for fun. You know, I'm, like, holding the Spaz Charles Bronson, shit, can you say, oh, you know, it's, like, paper, it's very, like...
You have the pile-up cover, too, that's a rare one.
Yeah, like, you could tell, like, it's very made in the moment. Like, there's not a lot of, you know, like, like, you know, compared to other hardcore punk records where it's like you can tell there's a lot going into it. So I think it's really cool that like you're like, you know, you say you're still like a normal guy who like just paints, but like created like things that like are not just loved by people but very important to like the hardcore punk, you know, circle or cycle.
Cool, yeah, I know what you're saying. And so I guess I'll say that I feel good about a lot of the accomplishments that I've made to bands that I've been in over the years. And that's sort of a way of saying I'm proud of myself without really just saying I'm proud of myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm stoked to hear that. Yeah. Hell yeah. Anything else you'd like to say before I finish the recording? I'm going to stop recording and just take a picture. Like, cool. and then that's pretty much it. I'll let you get on with the rest of your day.
Do you need to take a picture of me? Should I be in better light?
Yeah, that's perfect right there.